I mean, I don't know. I think Zarya is just like, I just don't think she's good. I think Spoos is right in what he said. That like, if Zarya is meta, it's because she's grossly overtuned, not because she's like a well-designed hero. Which I think is always the sign of a bad hero design, is that the only way that they can be viable is if they're like grossly overtuned. That's what makes a hero like Winston and Ryan like such well-designed heroes, is because they can be meta without them being overtuned. Like, yes, okay, like Ryan is a bit overtuned right now. Well, I guess before the patch, he was like overtuned, that's why he was played so much. But like Ryan gets played in metas where Ryan isn't good. Like, you remember last season, London Sphere, I played a bunch of Ryan when Ryan realistically as a hero wasn't that strong. Just because the hero's design allows himself to actually always get good in like a lot of metas. Same with Winston. Same with D.Va. I think those three heroes are like staple heroes that like they don't have to be like strong in order to be meta. Tracer's the same way. Widow's the same way. Like heroes that's like Sombra's the same way, right? Heroes that kits are just like OP are like always going to be like played regardless how strong they are. Whereas like a hero like, I don't know, a hero like 76 is never going to be viable unless his numbers are just overtuned. Because he doesn't really provide any like actual benefit to your team outside of just doing damage, and if his damage isn't high enough, he's just useless. Whereas Tracer is almost regardless of how weak she is numbers wise, she's always going to be playable just by the nature of how the hero works, because of how like quick she is, how unkillable she is. Better Sojourn or Sojourn? I mean, Sojourn and Sojourn are like not... I mean, I guess they do have a lot of similarities. It's such a shame, Sojourn, because Sojourn is one of the best designed heroes in the game, for sure. He's just not overpowered, is his problem. Hey, Chad010, thank you for the 2-month resub. Welcome back to Egg Morgan. Like, you're right in what you're saying, like, Sojourn's basically like Soldier if he was designed in 2022. That's just what the hero is. I rarely see Sojourn as a high-low character. Yeah, she's more of a high-low character. She's one of those characters, I think, where the nerfs they did to her are like what I call like placebo nerfs. Like, yes, she got nerfed and she's weaker, but I still think she's one of the best DPS in the game. It's just because she got nerfed like 3 patches in a row, people don't want to play her because they think she's shit. Happens all the time. Happens in League especially quite a lot. People just stop playing her, and I don't get why, because I think she's still insane. Like, I think especially if you have a Mercy pocket on you, like Sojourn can literally just press W at you as a tank whilst holding left click, and you can't play the game. There's actually like legitimately no counterplay, because if you engage, I'm actually dead again. Jesus fucking Christ! What is their damage?
Just what I need healing. Here is
because she has a chance to just execute with her right click, and then she also, if you dive her, she just shifts away. And she can also cut you off as well by using her E to like do the slow. Honestly, bro, I have no idea how I'm so close to death all the time. That comp isn't even high damage. I didn't Ben. See, there's too much damage output this season. There's too much damage output like every season, bro. It's mostly like the biggest problem with the damage. The reason the damage output spiked is because Zen. Anytime Zen is meta, it basically quadruples the damage output in a game. I'm gonna assume Mercy used the new mechanic, and is just not AFK in spawn, right? Yeah. Because Zen is a hero, like his base kit without Discord adds, I would say, about 0.7 to 0.8% of an average DPS, and then the Discord orb itself, like, honestly adds like another like 20 to 30% damage to like half the game. So he probably adds about 1.25 to 1.3 like percent of like times the DPS. So basically you have instead of having 2 DPS in a game, you have 3.5 DPS in a game when Zen's in, which is, as you can imagine, just not fun. Also Snap Kick. I think Snap Kick is top 5 worst changes they've ever added to the game by a long shot. I think it is so unbelievably stupid. I can't explain to you how much I hate that ability. I always forget she can fade and ult now. Like Snap Kick is like, it's like, imagine that like the way you balance Zen is that the fact that Zen can get dove easily and die is the entire weakness that you balance him around. That's the way you keep him in check. And by adding a self-peel ability that has a 0-second cooldown and is honestly like immensely strong, it just, like, all it does is it just makes the counterplay to Zen just so much like less. Which, shocker, is not healthy. Saving adding damage reduction to Deadeye, I've said this before, it's what I call baby-proof changes. It's instead of designing a hero around their weaknesses and balancing around that, which is what they used to do in the base game, they just remove the weaknesses. So it makes the heroes so much more well-rounded and ends up just allowing them to flourish so much more in ways that they shouldn't. Giving Zen a self-peel ability doesn't do anything healthy for the game, besides make Zen just more oppressive to play against. And they've done it so much. Like, giving D.Va's remake a 500 damage nuke or whatever it is, isn't healthy for the game, because one of the main weaknesses of D.Va is that if you get caught out and you get staggered, you get super punished for it. Now, people might say that that's not a healthy mechanic for the game, but like, I disagree. The fact that D.Va gets 2 lives is one of the strongest parts about the game. About the hero. She has 2 lives, right? The weakness is that can be abused. That's a strength and a weakness. Now it's just a pure strength. Like, honestly, bro, if D.Va just existed and once you destroyed her mech, she just died, she'd still be a good hero. Like, she obviously would be significantly worse, but she'd still be a good hero. Because her kit's just so good. But by adding the extra mechanic, it basically allows them to nerf the rest of her kit because it gives her an extra value. It gives extra value. But the punishment is that then if you get caught and you get staggered, you get super punished because you get delayed spawns, and that gives the enemy team an advantage. That's literally like one of the core like philosophies and fundamental points of the game. What's the strengths and weaknesses of Doomfist? I think it depends what you mean by like Doomfist, like this Doomfist. The biggest weakness of this Doomfist is he's just like super vulnerable to CZ.
Prepare yourself. Our future will be forged in conflict.
That's like his biggest weakness is just like high CC and also like high mobility. He can't really kill someone who, like, he's very good against champions like Hanzo, who like do like big bursts of damage and don't have good mobility. He's very good against those because you can get his block really easily and then he can punish them really hard. But against a hero like Tracer, who never gonna farm your block against, and she blinks around the map like crazy, you can never kill her. Or against heroes like Sombra, who can hack you and CC you out of your block, then he gets destroyed. Like, Doomfist is quite well designed in the way that, like, the counterplay, like, if you shoot into his block every time, you're gonna get fucked by a Doomfist. But the thing is that there is quite an easy counterplay to that, and that's simply just don't shoot into his block. It's the exact same fucking thing as as Zarya's bubbles, right? If you don't shoot into her bubbles, she's unironically a useless hero. Now, obviously, that's easier said than done, like forehead. But that counterplay exists, and it also means that misusage. What the fuck? Misuses of that cooldown is extremely punishing. Because it's punishing in two ways. Because not only do you wasting a cooldown, it also means that that cooldown isn't getting the extra benefit it would have. Like, if you just throw a dynamite and miss it, okay, that's fine. But, like, imagine if dynamite existed where if you didn't hit someone with your dynamite, your next dynamite had double the cooldown. That's a double punish. Like, people say other tanks, like, when I play Junker Queen, like, one of the most infuriating things is when you play Junker Queen, you throw a knife into a Zen, and then you pull back as you're Eing, and he kicks you just before the axe hits you, and you don't hit the axe. Do you know how fucking tilting that is? Like, that shit's so frustrating, because you've made the outplay, you've landed the hard combo, and you get nothing for it, because the guy has a zero, and the guy can literally do that. It's not like he has a cooldown like a Lucio boop.
What the fuck did you...
You're not at me, mate. I'll carry for you, mate. Don't worry. I'll do it for Finland.
I don't see any kills. What's going on?
I killed the Doom.
He was gonna die anyways.
We have Doom CC and Anna keep hers. Anna, okay, look, Anna's CC is like, I don't get why people complain about it. The only complaint I have about it is the hitbox is like pretty big, but like it's like such a fair CC. Like, yes, it's frustrating to get constantly beamed by an Anna.
Help Zenyatta, please.
But like in terms of like actual CC, it's actually like fine. Because like it has a long cooldown. It's somewhat hard to hit, not really that hard. It's overrated hard to hit, but it is a skill shot. And the actual CC itself, it's not just like a 4-second CC. It's like a CC that lasts as long as you want it to. If you shoot them, they wake up. It's a very good CC and very healthy for the game. Now the issue is I think I didn't like the way they reduced the cooldown, and I think the hitbox is a little too big, but like that's more of a case of the ability being like slightly overtuned and the ability being fundamentally problematic. Whereas you have Brig, old Brig stun, and I guess now new Brig stun, is like the total opposite. It has like no cooldown, it has no counterplay, it has no skill expression, and it's so easy to hit. So basically, it's like those two abilities are like the total opposite.
Chase was always
the grace time of it, yeah, I agree with you. I do actually agree with you. That is really frustrating. Like, if you get shot in the air, if you get stepped in the air, then you're like falling down, you get shot a bunch. Sometimes it just won't wake you up, and that's really frustrating. But that's like a pretty minor quirk, and the ability itself, I think, is like very, very good. And to be honest, like I'm maybe in the minority, but like Flashbang, I thought was also like a not like super bad problematic ability. It just needed to like be a bit harder to hit, and I think the ability was fine because it didn't last very long. And it was kind of like the entire way that he stays alive. Like obviously now he has like 50,000 ways to survive because he has like 100,000 damage reduction on every ability. Yeah, I agree actually. That's a good point, Spoos. I think you're right. If Fan the Hammer wasn't really like, if there was find a way to nerf Fan the Hammer after Flash, it would actually like make the ability way more like healthy. Because like you could stun Fan the Hammer, and it was a guaranteed kill on any 200 HP hero. It was pretty unfun because of how easy it is. Nothing, yeah. Now they just, instead of making him like an anti-flank character with like low DPS, they just made him into a complete DPS monster.
You cannot escape me. Experience tranquility. My ultimate is ready.
I agree with you, SSO Ryo Yamis. Like, Kree is, like, old Kree, like Flashbang, was literally made and designed to counter heroes like Tracer, like Genji, right? Which is, like, is fine, because that's what his niche is.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
But it's not like that anymore. Press F, nice. Good job, Cthulhu. Babe Ruth every game. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. Like, it's just the mentality of buffing. When a hero's weak, instead of buffing their strengths, they decide to buff their weaknesses. Which, in my opinion, is, for the most part, like, obviously not always, but, like, for the most part, is, like, a pretty bad way to go. Is, like, removing someone's core weakness. Like, Hanzo on release didn't have any mobility. That was kind of his weakness. Like, his mobility was, like, the ability to wall climb up to a spot pre-fight. And they gave him a leap. And then, shocker, that made the hero, like, S tier. Now, I don't necessarily think it was that bad, because I don't think the leap is that OP, because it's not, like, a massive leap, but... But a lot of the time, they just give heroes, like, mobility when they don't need it. Or CC when they don't need it. Or, like, some form of unnecessary defensive tool. Like, for instance, stuff like the Rein ult change. Like, why Rein's ult got changed to deal, like, fucking 250 impact damage, instead of just increase the stun duration by a second, is unironically mind-numbing to me. People complained that Earthshatter was weak, not because it didn't do enough damage, but because it didn't stun for long enough. Because they nerfed the stun duration in the previous patch. So you shatter someone, you don't have time to kill them a lot of the time. Now, the way you counter that isn't by making it so if it hits the front, it hits the front. If it hits directly, it literally one-shots you. Like, that shit's just not good for the game. It's just not healthy. Because it creates this, like, insane level of inconsistency that just isn't healthy. Same with D.Va remake change. Like, who enjoys getting just squashed by a remake? No one, because it's not a skilled play, because, like, most of the time, it's just pretty random when it happens. Like, you don't play around it unless you're, like, trolling. It just kind of happens, but when it happens, it feels awful.
Round 2 complete. Score 3-3.
I like the idea of giving Kree a magnetic lasso. That'd be fucking cool, actually. Like, a lasso of some sort would be fucking sick, actually. He could fucking choke me with it. Every hero deserves his place in the game somewhat. I think it's pretty boring. People pick Torb and they're not doing shit, so only get some value and being the most horror players. I think certain heroes are like, I don't know. I sort of get that, I don't know.
Our future will be forged in conflict. I hope they put up a fight.
The radius of remake. I mean, I would say, like the thing is right, is that giving D.Va's remake doesn't really even make the hero much stronger, right? Like, it's not really a significantly relevant buff. All it does is add XD funny moments, XD compilation sex. Right? Now you're trading, like, the health of the game for XD funny moments sex. Like, that's not a good trade-off in the long run. Yeah, okay, like, when the change first came into the game, like, you saw these funny clips on Noob Nuts and shit like that, of, like, this D.Va remake and getting, like, fucking 6 kills, and it was funny. But it was funny because it was like a meme, you know? Oh, like, how funny is it? Because it was, like, from an April Fool patch, I think, right? Oh, like, how cool is this? Ha ha ha, guys. And then it made it to the live game, and then it was like, okay, well, this is cool, but the 1 in 5 times you randomly die to like a random D.Va mech that's remech around the corner as you push it with no idea she's there, and die, that's not very fun for the game. In fact, that's actually just AIDS, because that can lose you games. A change that is a gimmick.
Seconds remaining.
And that exact ability is the same on Ryan Shatter. Ryan Shatter being able to one-shot you if you're right next to it. Like, okay, you guys might like it because you're a Ryan player and it's funny destroying people, but it's not healthy for the game. Ryan's ult was never meant to be a nuke. It was meant to be a stun. Really bad choke there on the Moira. I should kill her. The Moira on a
Guys, I
stun, be
can
careful.
stay point. I need to be sneaky, I can't be on point.
Yeah, I'll be point. I'll point. 3 second shadow over exactly. Giving shadow more CC is like a better way to balance the ability than giving it like a one-shot nuke. Because all giving it a one-shot nuke does is, like I said, makes the ability more inconsistent. Because in the fringe cases where you hit the shatter, it's like insanely broken, and then the cases where you don't, it's just the same shit ability.
Round 3.
They get rid of one shot. I mean, shatter still does like 250 damage though. It's like still too much. It should do. I don't know what it does on the edges, but it should do like 50 damage or 100 damage all around. It should just do 50 damage. 170. Okay, well 170. It still basically one shots you.
Select your hero.
My boyfriend's gay. Hitman in a bum, try see a man come car, even my dick is gay.
What do you mean?
Fucking my brother and sucking him off in a no homo way. The man them celebrate.
What the fuck is this? I mean, 170 is enough to one shot you if you get one swing afterwards. Which you will because they're shattered right in front of you. It's basically the same. Like, I don't know how much it does on the edge, but like, wait, is that Hamtaro? It should just do the same damage all throughout. That's all it should do. It's not fun. I'm glad that they nerfed it from what it was. Like, that's good, but the fact it still even exists a little bit is just frustrating.
I think I can make this worth my time.
Take off all your clothes. Oh, Man United beating Brighton. 0-0. What's the snooker scores? Fucking Higgins whitewashed her in the first frame. Come on, guys! I should put it on the TV actually, but I probably can't while I'm streaming.
3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Guys, it's 6-7 down to Selby.
The payload.
Wise decision.
60 seconds.
Dodge this.
Shatter damage change, but use on everyone at the ring. I can't tank. You direct them with shatter and pin. That's not fun though. Like you don't. I mean, I understand that you play Ryan, so your opinion's a bit different. But like Ryan Shatter in the release of the game Overwatch 1 was like a perfectly balanced ability. It was a really strong ability that required very good positioning and skill to hit. And in the mirror was like incredibly high skill, the Ryan mirror. And if it landed on their team, you were in an insanely good spot. It was game winning. Now, and then they nerfed the stun duration, which was never a problem in the first place, into a way that now it's so random and inconsistent. Oh yeah, of course you can. Of course you can use it purposely. You can use D.Va Remake purposely, right? Just not in a healthy way, really. Ryan charging a Reaper doesn't die. How much damage does Ryan charge do?